grades for all, uh-oh, sure my PowerPoint is moving. Okay. All right. So right now we're at what's called the midpoint. That means that some of your campuses may be reviewing your grades just to ensure that you're on track. If you turned in anything after 4 p.m. yesterday, I'll grade it today, but everyone else should have your grades. Please check your grades, guys. And also make sure that you are posting the right assignment in the right assignment portal. I've noticed just one or two people posting the wrong assignments. I don't know if they're just clicking on it wrong or they're getting confused. I have seen some posting your participation assignment to the homework assignment. And once I've graded participation and turned in attendance, and then I see that you've posted in the wrong place. So please try to be careful with that. If I've asked you to resubmit, that's because some people, either you did not have your resume signed like you're supposed to. Most times it's people that probably didn't come to class or watch the video and they just don't know. But I'll say it if they do watch the video. Make sure you have your resume signed before you turn it in. So if you turned in a resume and it's not signed, I sent it back to you to get it signed. All right. Today for your work, you'll be doing career plan part 2. And I want to just mention that right out the gate because I want us to really pay attention to that assignment. Week 1, we did your long-term goals. We did that on Tuesday, if you recall. Now, what you're asked to do, and this is why I kept saying make sure you have an end date to your long-term goal, you're going to be setting action steps. It's like some of you actually did it in week 1, which was great. You can, and if you did those action steps in week 1, I'm okay if you resubmit those action steps. You weren't required to do that yet. But now you will be doing action steps. Make sure you read the assignment. There's even a template that you could use. But if you didn't set that long-term goal, like my long-term goal is become a master electrician on my, by 2031, now you have to set incremental steps into that. And you may have a hard time doing that, especially for those that said stuff like my long-term goal is to make money, or my long-term goal is to be happy, or some, people actually weren't reading the assignment. And I did send that back to a few people as well, because you need to create action steps. And that's one of the reasons why we say you have to have SMART goals, or it's just not going to make sense for part 2 and part 3 of the assignment. All right. Also, last Wednesday, I told you guys to give me a name of someone that you want to interview, just to get a sense of what is it like, owning your own business, if that's someone that you interviewed, or what is it like being in charge of a team? What is it like working on a project? I gave you some questions you could ask. I don't care what you ask, but I want you to start the conversation out with your long-term goal and get their feedback. It's a great way to even build a relationship with a family member. There's so many of us, we see our parents go to work every day and we don't really ask, hey, what is it like? Or what do you do? We just know they do something, right? But it's cool to go to them and ask the question, hey, or even your spouse or significant other, I know you're in charge of this and this is what I want to do. Can I get some of your feedback? They really appreciate that. People loved, talking about, the stress of their day-to-day jobs, especially if they have that responsibility. So it's really cool to get their feedback. So hopefully you're doing that. Continue to do that. You have until this Wednesday to get that done. And it doesn't have to be anything formal, guys. It can just be a phone call. So don't think it has to be like a formal interview. It's really just picking their brains, getting their feedback so that you can institute it into your career steps that you'll be doing, right? So that's the whole point of me wanting you to have spoken to them. That way they can give you some insight. They can say, oh yeah, you're on the right track. That's a great long-term goal. You could say, what do you think I should do next? They say, okay, or if I were you, I would do this, and that. And so you can incorporate some of the advice that they've given you along with your own research to help you do part two, which is to create steps to get to your long-term goal. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if you're tracking. I know I tend to ramble, so I just want to make sure we're tracking. All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys. All right. So with that being said, Vincent, you have a question?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good.
Okay, sir. All right. So with that being said, let's get into chapter 11. I won't be here long. I know some of you have your mock interviews at 10, so I want to get you in and out of here. I just want to talk a little bit about this thing called first impression. Now, we've all heard first impression. Thumbs up if you've heard first impression before. Let's talk a little bit how that relates to your interview. Yes, my friends, until Elon Musk and the other tech bros have their way, you will be interviewing with a real person. Don't hold me to that, but I think we still met the threshold. We'll interview with real people. As such, people are human, right? So people will judge you based on what they see. Is that normal? Give me a thumbs up if you just think that that's normal, right? But that's you can't help that. Especially watch this, especially when you meet someone for the first time. I don't care who you are. I do not care who you are. I don't care if you look like me, sound like me, walk like me, talk like me. If I am meeting you for the first time, I am a human and my guard is going to be up, whether it's up for a few seconds, a few minutes. That is human nature because we are creatures and we naturally want to protect ourselves. So when someone is meeting you for the first time, their senses are going to be up. It's called first impression. That's a psychological nuance that people have. Now, let me tell you something else. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are governed by our experience. So that person that is meeting you for the first time may have some bias. They may have some bias that may have nothing to do with you. It's not the obvious ones that we're thinking about. Oh, I'm a male, I'm a female, I'm old, I'm young, I'm this, I'm that. No, sometimes it's just, the last person that came or what they expect. And do you compare to what they expect? Oh, you're just getting into the field, or this person is not going to know anything. Like they're going to have all these biases. It is your job to try to minimize any bias that they could have. Well, Miss Taylor, how am I going to do that? Well, let me tell you, sometimes even your appearance can have a bias. Thumbs up if you've ever judged somebody. Now, be honest and tell the truth. This is not church. So, you've ever judged somebody based on their impression, their look. Come on, tell the truth. It's human nature. Now, let me see if you're going to be equally honest. Have you ever judged somebody and then realized you were wrong? Thumbs up if you judge somebody by the way they look and you realize you're wrong. I know, and it's a humbling experience, right? Oh, it's a humbling experience, right? So you just don't know. You just don't know. And you you have to give yourself some grace and say, you know what? Hey, it's human nature to judge based on, my first impression. And if I'm wrong, that's even better. So all you have to do, and I tell people this all the time, especially in business, guys, especially in business, because that you can miss money doing that. Like you got to really be careful, especially if you own your own business. You're trying to hire people, you're trying to cut a deal. Like, please do not let your bias, it is natural. It is so natural to have a bias, but take that extra step to say, let me see. Let me just see, right? All right. So that is what's going to happen in your interview. They're going to have a bias. It may not be anything, extreme, or even discriminatory. I don't even think in that way. It could just be they could just have a bias by the way you look, and so we tell people, try to minimize that bias. How do you do that? And chapter 11 is going to talk about what to wear. Don't wear anything flashy, not because they may think you're too cool for school, but because when you are in an interview, you want people paying attention to your face. You want people listening to the words that are coming out of your mouth. You don't want them checking out your outfit. You don't want to overly put on cologne. They could have an allergy. You don't want to be the guy that wore too much cologne. You don't want to be the girl that had too many bracelets on her arm and was clinking all around. You don't want to be the person that hair was all over the place, and you just do not want to be the person that says, "Hey, you remember that guy that smelled really funny?" Is that what you want them to remember about you? It is natural. Let me tell you, all the countless people that I've ever interviewed throughout my career, I can name a few, and it's not for good reasons. It's not for good reasons. As a matter of fact, this is partly my fault. I had one interview I fell asleep in, and it was because I was pregnant. In my defense, my CEO kicked me up under the table. But let me tell you, she was so mad at me. And she's an aggressive CEO too. We were in New York. And the person we interviewed, I don't know what it was. I guess when you're pregnant, you're just sleepy. I don't know. But this young lady, she spoke so soft that we could barely hear her. When you have to lean into the table, we were leaning into the table trying to understand what she was saying. Man, she put me to sleep. I'm sorry. I was dozing off. Oh my God, it was hilarious. I remember because I didn't pay attention to anything that girl said. I don't know what she said. And it was for the CFO position. Like, it was a huge position, but I fell asleep on it. I'm sorry. I had another candidate. Uh, God, oh, I feel so sorry for this man. He came, like I think I was telling you about the dude that was late. He was late. And so when he came, and this was in Florida, it was at this school, but the guy was like, he had a lot of hair, but he was very sweaty. He was late, he was sweating. Florida, that sun is unforgiving. He could not cool down. We got him water, we got him towels. This guy could not recover. I was mortified for him. I was so mortified for him. I'm still traumatized. This has been years and years ago. I'm traumatized for him. Like, you just do not want to be that person. I don't even remember half the stuff the guy said. I know I needed that person at the time because I was a director and I really wanted that position filled. But the other people in the room, they couldn't move past it. They couldn't move past. He was too sweaty. He was it was horrible. Like, you do not want to be that person. So what you want to do is to eliminate bias. That's even why in chapter 11 it tells you wear browns and blues and grays, not because you're not cool, but because you don't want them paying attention to your outfit. Remember what we talked about in the interview. You are going to be compared to other candidates. You want them to remember the words that came out of your mouth. I know it is so natural to want to connect with people. Oh, we went to the same school. Oh, we both like the same sports team. I get it. It's natural. But at the end of the day, they're going to judge you based on, can this person do the job? They'll be like, oh my God, we had so much fun talking about so and so. But then at the end of the day, the last question they're going to ask is, can this person do the job? And you don't want them to be like, oh, but I don't know if they can do the job, right? So you want to make sure you answer those questions well. We already know. Listen, let me tell you something. From the moment you arrive at that campus, you're at the interview. Don't get comfortable. Don't be in your car arguing with your kids about missing their book bag, or you don't know who's pulling up next to you. You don't know if they're looking out the window. They are crazy. Some people look out the window. I know, I used to work with people that you looked out the window. You are at the interview. You don't know who the receptionist is. That could be the boss's daughter. Everybody's checking you out. You are at the interview. Be nice to everybody. I got one of my jobs being nice to the receptionist. I got to the job, and the person I was supposed to interview with had an emergency, and she left. Her mom got sick or whatever, and she asked them if I could hang out and wait for her to come back. And I'm like, okay, thank goodness I took the day off. So I sat around in the reception area, and I was nice, and I was talking to the receptionist, and people were walking by, they were checking me out. I was being friendly. And the receptionist was like, "You're going to get this job. You're definitely going to get this job." And I'm like, "How does this person even know I'm going to get this job?" Sure enough, I got the job. But it was something about it. I don't know if he put in a good word for me. I don't know if he was psychic or what it was. But be nice to everybody. You just never know. You're at the interview, okay? I don't know why I see some people, they're like, don't talk to anybody. I know that because they're nervous. I know that's why. And then they get into the interview, and then they're all friendly. Then they go back being not friendly. People judge that. I've judged it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've judged it because everybody's like saying, can this person fit into our culture? Remember, every company has a culture. And so they're going to check to see if you can fit into the culture. And if you're in the reception area and you're looking like you hate life, people are checking you out. Like, so, I mean, I know it's not normal to put on a smile, but even when you aren't talking, people, you have energy. We're humans, right? So you have energy. Try to keep a positive energy. I know it's hard sometimes. It's early in the morning or late at night, and we have life that life's, and so it's hard, but always think about that. If you have to do a virtual interview, whether it's the first interview, the second interview, the last interview, somebody wants to see your face for whatever reason, make sure that, like I said before, that all your technology works, that you are friendly, and sometimes you have to be even more friendly virtually because we tend to fall flat. Has anybody ever been on a video call or chat, whatever, and everybody looks like they hate life? And there's nothing wrong with them, that's just their face. On videos. So imagine doing an interview like that. So we tell people to nod and have an inside smile. Like, you want to just have a good impression. To the point of interviews, let me say this also to you. If you do have to go back for a second interview, my friends, do not get cocky. Just because you got a second interview, that does not mean you have the job. I know they're wasting my time if I don't get it. They will waste your time and you still not get it. Let me go ahead and tell you the truth. I had a coworker worked at this college for many, many years, and he went up for a position. It was a big position, but nonetheless, y'all are not going to believe how many interviews he had. Y'all ready for this? He had 10 interviews. Clutch your pearls. I know. Y'all already know what I'm about to say, right? He did not get the job. 10 interviews. He did not get the job. Oh, my goodness. What do you mean? How do you have 10 interviews? Well, he was up for a campus president. So he had to meet with everybody. He had to meet with the board. He had to meet with students. He had to meet with the academic team. Can you imagine? He had to meet with the registrar's office, and he did not get the job. Oh, and just to make matters worse, he worked there. He did not get the job. They gave it to somebody from the outside. It ran the man out the business. He's in a whole different career now. He was devastated. He was devastated. I felt sorry for him. He's a good friend of mine, so I'm talking about my friend. I'm not laughing at him, but he was devastated, as he should have been. But what is my point? That second, third interview means nothing. Have I gotten second interviews, third interviews, didn't get the job? I did. I guess I have. Yes, I have. So that's why it's almost like buying a house. They say until you get the keys, it's not yours, right? So you got to treat every interview as if it's the first interview, and you just keep interviewing until somebody offers you a job. You don't have the job. Is that not true? You didn't offer me the job. I don't have the job. So that is why once you do your mock interview, you do what? I got my interview. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna evaluate my interview. I'm gonna see how I feel about it. Then guess what you're gonna do? You are going to send them a thank you message. On Thursday, I'm going to show you how to do that because you will be doing a thank you note to Career Services for interviewing you. So, for those of you that have already met with Career Services, I know a few of you did your mock interviews early. I want you to try to remember what the person told you. Take down some notes because on Thursday, I'm going to show you how to do a thank you email that you need to do to them, and it is for a grade, guys. So I'll show you how to do that on Thursday, but I want you to be thinking about that. For those of you that have not had your mock interviews yet, just remember, okay, I'm going to have a mock interview. I need to, jot down some notes on what this person has said to me, things that make sense to you, things that are going to help you, right? Many of you are going to be talking about your long-term career goals in your mock interviews. So when you go to a real interview, sometimes that thank you note sets you apart. I've had students tell me, I've even been told myself that they were impressed that I sent them a thank you note because a lot of people don't know to do that, right? That's why we go to school to learn these things. Yes, when you interview with somebody, remember they are taking time out of their day. Yes, they need that position filled, but they're still taking time out of their day. The person that's interviewing you does not get paid to interview, right? They still got to go back and do their job too. So how many people that they interview, it is a courtesy. It really is a courtesy. You're taking your time out, they're taking their time out. At minimum, send a thank you note, at least letting them know thank you for the time to interview me, right? Because even if I didn't get the job, I learned something, right? You learned about the business, you learned about that type of position. So you're going to thank them. And then what are you going to do? You're going to manage your emotions because nobody gave you the job. So I'm going out to the next job. We're dating. We're not married, right? So I'm going to keep going until, I get an offer. So you are going to continue that job search, right? So keep that in the back of your mind. All right, my friends. So just know that the employment process includes a lot. Evaluating the job offer, negotiating in some instances, responding to that job offer, and then finally signing off on that position. All right. Very good. All right. For those of you that have your interviews today, good luck to you. Hopefully, I gave you enough time to get there. Here is your participation question for today. Here's all I want to know. I want to know, what would you wear to a job interview? That may sound really crazy, but remember, all of you are in different fields. I have 4 different industries here. So you should have been told what you would wear based on your industry. If not, no big deal. You can read it in chapter 11, but some people have to wear scrubs. In welding, they may have told you may have to wear steel-toed boots. If it's a working interview, they may say you wear this opposed to that. Maybe you bring a toolkit, whatever. Now, here you get up the ante. And by the way, thank you to the guys that did your little elevator pitches videos. I really enjoyed watching that. I'm glad that you weren't camera shy. Y'all did a good job. Now, same thing for this one. Now, you don't have to do a camera, but if you want to, I just want to know, what would you wear to an interview? You can write it out if you want to, but if you want to take a picture and show me, if you want to be on video and show me real quick, however you want to do it, I just want to know, what would you wear to an interview? Please do not say clothes. Hopefully, we know that much. All right. So, what would you personally wear based on your career to an interview? That's what I want to know. All right, my friends, good luck to you. Please read chapter 11. This assignment today is going to be a little bit more detailed, so take your time doing it. Please remember, you have until Sunday to turn it in. Week 2 will reopen today. Give me a little bit of time to open it, but week 2 will reopen. Please remember, you have that 1-week grace period. My friends, week 1 is closed. Week 1 is closed. Please do not ask me to open it. De nada, no bueno. No, we're not opening up week 1. It is closed. You got your grace period. All right. Now, but You get week 2 grace period this week. After week 2, it is closed. After this week, it's closed. Okay. All right. Um, their participation question. I'm already giving you a grace period till 5. This participation question is due by 12:30. I am being a nice teacher, right? Yes, Miss Taylor, you're being very nice. Listen, I know I've been in school my entire life. I worked through all my education. I know it's very, very difficult. So I give you a 5 o'clock grace period. Please do not ask for an extension beyond 5 o'clock, y'all. Okay, I have a night class. I got other things to do. All right, 5 o'clock, turn it in. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.